And the clerk waved him off because he knew me. I'm looking like, what the hell going on? And he shot the clerk. My name is Daryl Francis, and my occupation is screenwriter. My nickname, my family name, and my neighborhood name is Baby Frenchie. My daddy was Big Frenchie. What was it like growing up in the crack era? Well, that was in the early 80s, and during that time, I was a high school student. The effects that it had on the neighborhood, I really wouldn't really focus on that, you know what I mean? But when the crack came into my home and under my roof, you know what I mean? I seen the effects that it had on my sisters and my brothers and myself. I was working for dealers that, you know, was big time in LA back then. Well, my experiences was, if I want to keep it, you know, 100, was going in the backyard one day, and my brother had an old Volkswagen back there, and my sister was in the old Volkswagen with a friend of mine turning a trick for crack. Real shit. My mom ended up raising, after she raised 10 kids, me being the baby of 10, she ended up raising grandkids, because my sister would leave the house and won't come back for like 3, 4, 5 days and leave her kids with us. It was a hell of an experience. And if I didn't go to prison when I did in 1986 for a murder I didn't commit, I'd probably be dead right now. Well, I was on my way to the burger stand, and I was walking down Broadway going toward Gage, if you know LA. I heard a whistle, and I turned around. It was a guy from the neighborhood that I really didn't associate with. We was just friends, but not like everyday friends. You know what I mean? It was just somebody that I was familiar with in the neighborhood. And so I waited on him, and when I waited on him, he came into the hamburger stand with me, and I ordered some chili cheese fries. When I ordered them fries, he pulled out a gun and told the clerk this was a robbery. And the clerk waved him off because he knew me. I'm looking like, what the hell going on? And he shot the clerk. It was like I had an out-of-body experience, because it was like I was up on the roof looking down on us, and he jumped on top of the counter to get the money out the cash register. The guy laying behind the counter, and when he got the money, he jumped off the counter and he bumped into me. And when he bumped into me, I came back to my senses, and when he ran out the door, I ran out the door. And I ended up going to prison for a murder robbery that I didn't even know what was gonna go down. How did I feel about being charged with a murder that I didn't commit? It was, I felt like it was an injustice. I felt like because he was a year younger than me and I was older, and he told them, the police, that I planned the whole thing when they caught him doing another robbery. So when I was booked for a murder that I didn't commit, I had a lot of animosity towards the system, because they just wanted to lock me up. You know what I mean? And what I said and my side of the story didn't really mean nothing to them. In prison, what sparked my interest in writing screenplays is I've always been a storyteller. Screenplays and screenwriters are storytellers, but the stories that I write is reality. I always had a comedy side of me. I always had a comedy side of me, to where I was always the one to be able to make people laugh. Even in junior high school and high school, they called me the class clown. So I wrote a short story called Tow Truck. And when I wrote that story, it was 12 pages. I've never written a screenplay in my life, but I said, I'm gonna take this little short story and make a movie out of it. And that's what I did. In 2006, I was released from prison after 20 years. What I did with them screenplays after I was released from prison I moved with my sister and my brother-in-law in North Hollywood, and it just so happened that 2 doors down was a literary manager, Danny Sherman. I met his wife first, and his wife told me that he managed writers. And it took me about 2 weeks to catch up with him, but when I finally caught up with him, I asked him about the ins and outs and how you go about, selling a screenplay. And he asked me if I wrote a screenplay. I said, yeah, it's called Tow Truck. I gave him the first 20 pages, and when he read the first 20 pages, he fell in love with it. 8 months later, I sold the screenplay for $100,000. I have a documentary that's been done on my life story, and it's just been velvet ever since. The best advice that I give someone that's going through hard times, put a value on your life and know that there's no limitation.